All right, everybody, welcome to today's class on nootropics. And we're going to be digging in. This is something really cool and exciting to talk about. Nootropics are basically smart drugs or compounds that have an effect on the brain, on memory, on intelligence. They're a really fascinating classification of supplements and medications that you can take, and they actually have measurable and clinical results when actually using these things. So again, they're really fascinating, super cool, and we're going to talk about them in pretty good detail today. So let's get the PowerPoint going. So we're going to just start right into it. So nootropics, like I said, this is a key thing that improves the brain and improves memory. So these are any substances that boost memory, focus, intelligence, and motivation. So what you'll see is a lot of nootropics, what they do is they have an effect where they help lower neuroinflammation while also improving all the different functions of the brain. So there's several different types of nootropics. So tropic just means like a factor or like a growth factor. And so we're talking about things that just really maximize brain activity and brain function. And who wouldn't want more brain power, right? So when it comes to selecting a nootropic or, just thinking about going down that route, there's a couple considerations. One, you want to make sure that you choose high quality supplements. So a certificate of an analysis, right? So, making sure that you're getting a good quality product. I know on the internet, there are tons of companies advertising different substances as nootropics, but they're not always clean. They may be laden with different contaminants like metals and just a lot of toxins that we don't want, the wrong types of fillers. Again, like I said, some people are just trying to make a dollar and they're pushing these different supplements out there. So we always use high quality products. I prefer pharmaceutical or medical grade products. That's why we use companies like Life Extensions and Apex. I mean, these guys have certificates of analysis. So you want to make sure you got a good product. The second piece is the right supplements at the right time. And I push this a lot because taking a nootropic, while there's all this inflammation and all these other things going on in the body, you're not going to get a result, right? It's like I use a silly example of putting a turbo into like an old Gremlin or a Pinto, right? If you have this car that just can't perform and you're putting something in it expecting it performance, you're going to be disappointed. And the same things with nootropics. So that's why, adding these on top of your health restoration or your lifestyle plans that we put together is really an awesome thing. Because once you start to eliminate inflammation, because in the brain, there are typically 5 classifications of things that are going to cause neurodegeneration, things that break the brain down. One is inflammation. The other is going to be loss of tropic factors. And like I said, tropic factors are things that help the body grow, things like thyroid hormone, growth hormone. So if you don't have enough of those, and then like in the middle of 1 and 2 is like 1.5, and that's going to be a problem with blood sugar because it causes inflammation, but it also lowers tropic factors, so growth factors. Then you're going to have circulation issues. So you want to make sure you have good blood flow. You're going to have toxicity, right? So we want to make sure our blood's clean. That's why the detoxification and digestion pillar is so key. But then, getting those right nutrients and the hormones, all those things balance out, fits every one of those. And the last one is going to be trauma. So if you've had any brain trauma, that's going to interfere with these things work. So you really, if you've had brain trauma, you want to focus on all the pillars of health that we focus on. But once you start working and going down that pathway of getting these things lined up, now, even if you're on the very first pillar, or let's say you're on brain and nervous system health, these can be implemented once you know your gut is working right and you got the right nutrients. So that's why we say get the right supplements at the right time. So let's dig in. One of the first ones, and this is perhaps my favorite, is L-theanine. It is an amino acid. It's naturally occurring. You'll find it in things like green tea. I take about 200 milligrams once or twice a day. I like it because it offsets the jitters of caffeine. And, some people, they have caffeine and they end up feeling tired. And L-theanine can help offset that. But It has a calming effect, but what it does, it increases alpha waves in the brain, puts you in that flow state and focus and creativity. It also is really good at bringing down anxiety. Now, it's not something that's going to make you tired, right? It's not gonna induce sleep. It just has a calming effect, not a sedative effect. But L-theanine is super awesome. There's been studies where people took up to 2,400 milligrams in a day and had no side effects. It's not addictive forming. Habit forming is not going to happen with this, but it's nice. And I got to tell you, I really like this. Probably one of my favorites because it just gives your brain a little bit more activity and it puts you in that flow state. That's that creative state artists talk about getting into, or musicians, or maybe the first time you fell in love, and time just passes very quickly and you don't even realize that hours have gone by while you're with that person. That's kind of a flow state. And L-theanine helps get you into that place. So L-theanine is an awesome brain nootropic. Bacopa is another one. Now, Bacopa can actually improve memory, but it also helps your body regulate the process of taking in new information. It contains these compounds called bacosides, and those improve signaling of your neurons and they protect your brain from oxidative stress. So this one actually has the effect of oxidative protection. So it offsets oxidative damage and it improves the signaling, so the communication in your brain. And so Bacopa can be really an awesome add-on. I like it. It's subtle. I don't notice a big difference. And so everybody, it's good to kind of play around with these. Try one, see how it does. If you have, very particular problems, we can recommend, like I said, L-theanine is good for focus. This one's going to be good for taking on new information. Rhodiola. Now, rhodiola, this is an adaptogenic herb. And a lot of people take adaptogens. We have a lot of patients that are on adaptogens. But rhodiola is pretty cool because not only does it have that calming effect, very similar to L-theanine, but it helps bring down your body's stress response. And it's really hard to have amazing focus when your stress response is all over the place. So this helps regulate cortisol, helps bring down stress, it improves sleep, but it improves mood and mental fatigue. So adaptogenic herbs, by their very nature, what they do, if the body's over functioning, it'll bring them down. And if the body's under functioning, it brings it up. So rhodiola has this balancing effect. So it's it's really awesome. I actually like combining this with L-theanine. It has an amazing effect, especially when you're on like a deadline crunch and you're worried about hitting a timeline and yet you still want to have focus. But because it's adaptogenic, what's really cool about rhodiola is that it helps offset the physical effects of stress on your body and your mind. So this may be a good one for you. If stress is your bigger problem, rhodiola could be really awesome for you. So ginkgo biloba. Now, ginkgo biloba is another good natural compound. This one improves memory and mental processing mainly because it improves circulation in the brain. And it reduces your stress response with cortisol, kind of like rhodiola. But if you've had stress-related high blood pressure, ginkgo biloba kind of has this vasodilation effect, but it sort of improves circulation in the brain because it helps open up blood flow. And of course, think of it as getting fuel and nutrients to your brain. Ginkgo biloba will help improve memory and mental processing because it's improving oxygenation and nutrient delivery into the brain. And, for people that have had long-term nutrient deficiencies or had blood pressure problems or a lot of fatigue, ginkgo biloba may be a way to go. Now, this isn't something you want to take if you're on blood thinners, obviously, because it affects circulation. So reduces levels of cortisol and stress-related high blood pressure, but it's pretty powerful. Again, you see a picture here of life extensions. We said it's a great brand, right? NoPep. Now, this actually comes from a company called Nootropics.com. And NoPep is it's a specific compound that raises brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And this is what helps your body make new neurons. It helps increase brain cell growth. So NoPep can be pretty awesome if you've had, strokes, if you've had any type of trauma to the brain. Like we said, trauma was the fifth thing. NoPep can really help. But this is good from time to time. If you've been under a lot of stress, you've noticed a decline in your brain power, your memory, NoPep can be really good. Now, what's interesting about brain-derived neurotropic factor, and this is not something you'd have to like stick with if you think you have a problem, because BDNF is actually made by healthy gut bacteria. So when you get through the first pillar of detoxification and digestion, your body should be repaired enough where you actually start producing BDNF. So NoPep may not be necessary, but for people that have had some type of neurodegenerative diseases, some head traumas, decreased circulation, high blood pressure, or even low blood pressure, or something that cut off circulation to your brain over a period of time, especially if you had long-term adrenal issues like adrenal fatigue or Addison's, this may be a really good nootropic for you to give a try to. One of the second to last slides we're going to talk about is modafinil. Now, this is actually considered a smart drug. No, modafinil was originally used for people that had sleep apnea. It's not something that's it's a long-term stimulant. You don't see any habits being formed with modafinil, so it's pretty safe. I have actually tried this one, and I felt probably within 30 minutes I noticed a difference with my focus. But executive function, it really helps with decision making, right? And if you've noticed a decline in that, maybe this is a good way to go. Now, I will tell you, even though it's not considered a stimulant per se, you do not want to take this later in the afternoon. I made that mistake and I did not sleep. And it was not because I felt really awake. I just felt like my brain was in this mode where it just was like just working. I had no problem. It was really cool. I felt like I was in a little bit of a flow state, but I was really awake. And which makes sense because it was originally for sleep apnea and narcolepsy. So you don't want to take this too late. You get this by prescription. But this is really good. It does improve memory, but it increases executive function. So if you've really had brain fatigue, modafinil can be pretty awesome. I like it. So the last thing I want to talk about is neuropeptides. Now, a lot of peptides, like I talked about BDNF, brain-derived neurotropic factor. There's also another neuropeptide that's made in your gut called VIP, and it's vasoactive intestinal polypeptide. And good gut bacteria make these things. They help the brain heal. They help stimulate, an anti-inflammatory effect in the brain. And so they're really awesome for overall brain health. Now, two others on here are Samax and Selink. Now, these are peptides that we can actually get, and these are by prescription. And what's really cool is you can get these injection, you can get a pill, but you can also get them intranasal. So they go up to the cribriform plate and can pass easily into the blood-brain barrier. But Samax is an anti-inflammatory, anti-anxiolytic, which means it helps bring down anxiety. But it too also brings down that inflammation, helps seed neurogenesis, making new brain cells and neurons. But it also helps with executive function and focus. Now, Selink is a little bit different. It's a little bit more powerfully anti-inflammatory. At least that's what we've seen off of studies. But these three are really cool because we can actually get these compounds for intranasal delivery. So you notice differences really quick. And of course, there's an accumulative effect, but those are really good for brain inflammation. So, if there's anything that's caused that, if you have neurodegenerative diseases that run in your family, if you've started to see early dementia, we've had patients that have Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and that we've put on these, and they get a reported effect. You can use this for multiple sclerosis and MS. So anything that's affecting brain function, and these are really by prescription only. So nootropics can be some type of supplement, and then there's actually smart drugs, and we talked about a few of those: modafinil, the Samax, the Link, and the VIP. So hopefully that gives you a few things. It's like a menu of brain meds, right? It helps you select so you can base what's going on with you. It'll help you adjust. And so our team, we can really help you dial in those things when we get into the brain and nervous system pillar, the fifth pillar. Or if you feel like you need a little bit of help before you get there, well, you can make those suggestions, those adjustments. So hopefully that gives you some stuff to make yourself a little bit smarter. help you maintain some type of mental edge and help you with your executive functioning. So hope everybody has a great day. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you next time. Take care.